To say that the demonstration is unnecessary and to call the minority hooligans and to suggest that they have, quotes,
other channels
to channel their grievances, suggests a level of arrogance that I didn't think he had. But that is what we have to deal with. Now in Governor Addison, we have an accomplice who is now on all fours with the principal criminals in the wrecking actions that have brought us this far.
Ghana's Gold, Radio Gold.
You know that when the matter of him financing government beyond what was supposed to happen, when I think it first came up through this MP, the BoG Central MP. I believe it's Mr. Isaac Adongo. He was the first person I believe who mentioned it. I can't remember what year he did. But it was first denied. But that was when our finance minister had borrowed so much and Ghana had been turned away from the financial markets because they could see that we were overexposed and we could not pay. And so to keep that crime away from the Ghanaian people, he turned himself into an errand boy and then became a full complicit in the business that they were engaged in. And the Ghanaian people would not have known until they were forced to go to the IMF. And the IMF insisted that we should reduce our indebtedness. So what he finally chose to do was to convert the money that he had advanced to them under the domestic debt exchange. So he bailed them out when their recklessness drove them away from the bond markets, and then he bailed them out again when the IMF came into town. In doing so, he has broken the law in several places. So I'm in my right to call him a criminal. And in any civilized society, as he alludes, he should be under arrest, being prosecuted, and facing jail. But such is the level of entitlement and impunity in our country that he can speak in the voice that he did. In doing that, he fully reflects the arrogance of the trio, who I say have driven our economy into the toilet, who have toyed with the livelihoods of many in the present and the future of generations yet to be born. Now, I believe that the minority who went on the demonstration are not alone. That they spoke for hundreds of thousands, if not millions, in our country. And by speaking the way he did, they simply guaranteed that the protest would go on and they will not abate soon. Maybe they're interested in the whole world coming to see them for the criminals that they are, which is why he takes this path. I thought that he would adopt the stance and attitude and tone of his appointor by ignoring them and saying nothing. Get to concentrate on his central bank business. But I see that he has fully joined the fray, so he's welcome. Let the Ghanaian people, he's the ultimate employer, let them judge whether he's fit to stay in his post. You see, part of our problem is that many Ghanaians are yet to understand the enormity of the crimes that have been committed in their name. That will harm them for many, many years to come. They're harming them in the present, have sent people to an early grave, and it's essentially holding our country hostage. Those are the points I'd like to share with you this morning.
But by saying that, you expected him to have taken up the tone of, because that's usually what even the finance minister does, usually keeps quiet, doesn't say anything, not respond to anybody. By saying I expected him to have taken a cue from that, does that mean that you were surprised that he even spoke in the first place? And
yes, I'm saying I'm surprised that he even spoke in the first place, because the approach of his appointer and accomplices is simply to ignore such comments. Maybe he hasn't graduated to their level of arrogance yet. Maybe, but that's a minor point. The bigger issue is that the finance minister, have been engaged in crime, criminal conduct at many places, and on many occasions. They try to hide it from the Ghanaian people forever, us having to go to the IMF on a stretcher, expose them. And now he has to come up with devices to explain his serious misconduct, which in any civilized society should have led one to his sacking, to his arraignment on prosecution, conviction, and jailing. But I can guarantee that will not happen under President Nana Akufo-Addo. It will have to be done by an incoming government that replaces the NPP.
And I'm wondering what you think the response of the minority should be.
Well, the minority said they will go back. They should go back. But you see, the problem I have with the minority is really this. And not just the minority, but with demonstrators. And I ask myself, where did this business of petition come from? Where the notion seems to have been born that every demonstration must end with the delivery of a petition to somebody. Why?
You think it shouldn't apply for every demonstration?
No.
In this instance, do you think a petition was necessary at all?
But that's the point I'm making. But maybe on this occasion, they are sending him a letter demanding his resignation. It's not a petition. It's a letter of instruction. Because how you describe things matter, my brother. It's a petition to do what? The other thing that gets my goat is something that happens so often across the length and breadth of our country. When citizens go on their knees and beg their employees to do what they are supposed to do. Public servants are public servants. They are public employees. They are our employees. They are required by law, by constitution, to perform various functions. They must get on with that business. And this business of pleading and begging is insane. People must grow the confidence to demand, to instruct, to order, because they are our employees. We are not their subjects. But I suppose this thing has eaten deep into our national psyche, and it will take a long time and a lot of public education to move people away from this meek, submissive selves to an assertive people who demand performance from those who serve us.
Because his tone alone suggested that he doesn't see a member of parliament as powerful enough to remove him.
No. That is for two reasons. One is just this congenital defect in our constitution that makes Parliament the conveyor belt to ministerial appointments for most MPs, certainly those in the majority, where you have the executive fully present in a chamber that is supposed to superintend their activity, to have oversight over them. So practically every MP on the majority side is merely seeking to become a meek and obedient servant so that he can catch the eye of the president and be rewarded with, in our part of the world, we call them juicy appointments also.
Yes.
Yes. Because that's when you really actually join the gravy train and you can load as much as you can. So half of our parliament is always compromised. And then because it is also difficult to be in opposition can also be compromised by tossing a few bits to them or to key members, and you are done. So the Ghanaian people are poorly served. So as a consequence of this defect in our constitution, it makes Parliament weak and almost irrelevant. Lately, they become a source of entertainment through the various committees of inquiry that they set up.
Source of entertainment.
Comic relief, yes, my brother.
Those are supposed to be probes.
Comic relief, I call them. Inconsequential and going nowhere. You can check all the various probes that they have conducted. Was it the one on cash for seats? Was that the first one under this administration? I'm not sure. Maybe it was.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
And then this inquisition into the conduct of the finance minister. That was so poorly done that the Ghanaian people fail to get the full import of the crimes that have been committed in their names. And in point of fact, going back to the demonstration, until I heard the minority leader speak in Fanti, where I thought he did an excellent job of just describing. That was, I think, when he was final address, when they are finally come to their final point, where he was addressing the crowd before going to the. I don't know whether it was before or after the presentation. I think it was before the presentation, where he spoke in Fanti, and he managed to, in my assessment, fully communicate the gravity of the crimes that have been committed in our names in language that the ordinary man could access. Right until then, they have just been flapping and flailing at the issues. So that I can almost bet that the majority of Ghanaian people have fully to wake up to the level of crimes that have been committed in their names by our president, by his cousin, the finance minister, and by their errand boy. Now they call him his governor, Dr. Addison, the printer. Look, we've even forgotten about the so-called, the misnamed banking sector cleanup. Was it financial sector cleanup?
Financial sector cleanup.
Yes, they insult us by even calling it a cleanup.
Ghana's gold. Radio gold.
It was a vindictive wrecking operation to take out the Ghanaian competition to the business of Kanopriata and his associates.
A vindictive wrecking operation.
Yes, it was.
That's suggesting that they use power to go against people who they see as their competitors.
And they stole in the process. They managed to use 22 billion at the last count. I think I even heard 25 billion later.
Ghana's gold.
To solve a problem that they said at the start will cost 9 billion cedis. And there is peace and quiet in the town. I'm also told, I learned, that fully 30% of the 80 billions or so that they printed, they don't go through proper channels. And I have no reason to disbelieve that was part of the money that we saw at this unfortunate minister's residence, which was being stolen without her notice. Those CDs that were printed, part of it was sorted away for the theft of the last election and to purchase the flag bearership for candidate Baumia and to guarantee that he wins the next election. And I don't think that Mr. Dapa is alone. This money has been sorted away. I'm not sure that there's any appointee that you can count who is not involved in this looting. So that money was what they were exchanging into foreign currency, and they kept in TDs that they spent, which has led one to hyperinflation and the collapse of our currency. That huge demand for dollars and euros obviously would affect the exchange rate. It wasn't just foreigners taking their dollars away. It was cities that have been misprinted in a criminal enterprise that have been allocated to various persons who, knowing that they are made our currency worthless, proceeded to convert some into foreign currency. I can literally bet my head that if you take all the leading members of this regime, all the leading appointees, and those in the kitchen cabinet and etc., you find similar scenes. And where the Ghanaian people are fully to appreciate the crimes that have been committed. That's a failing of the minority. And that's also a failing of our media.
Doc, let me conclude by asking if you had an advice to give Governor Addison, what would it be?
Oh, his tenure will suddenly come to an end. What I expect the minority to make him fully aware that they intend to prosecute him when they take power, and to do a better job of bringing it home to the ordinary Ghanaian, the level of criminality that has gone on. They shouldn't just stay with the dry legal jargon. They should break it down so that the Kenke seller at Amosoma will fully appreciate, the fisherman at the Pessy landing beach will fully appreciate what it is that these criminals and hooligans have done to our lives.